Good morning. I'm calling to order the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Innovation Subcommittee. Is Councilwoman Eduardo going to join us later?
She is on.
Okay. I believe the first item is Mario. I believe you have an item to present.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Regarding item 19, I have a memo requesting withdrawal of the item, and I will read the memo so that it's in the record for the subcommittee. At the request of subcommittee members, this memo requests a withdrawal of item 19 regarding discussion on street murals from the September 2nd Transportation, Infrastructure, and Innovation Subcommittee agenda. As a result, the city's existing policies on street markings remain in place.
Okay. Thank you. Please put that in the record, and I'm hoping anybody who's on the phone wanting to speak on that item is now aware and is no longer going to be discussed or heard at the subcommittee meeting. And we will move the call to the public to the end, because I believe probably there are people waiting to talk on this item which will not be heard. It takes us to the minutes of previous meetings. Minutes of March 4th. Does anyone have any changes, amendments, or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. It takes us to the consent items. Item 2, 8, and 10 have people who have requested to speak on them. So are any of the others you want to take out of the consent package?
No.
I'm hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve consent items 3 through 9.
Second.
Noting 2 and 10
Sorry.
I know, I was going to say noting that 2 and 10 have.
Councilwoman Stark, we also have a comment on item 8.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, so then we'll remove 8, so it'll be items 2 through 7 and 9.
Second.
Item 2 was asked to make comments.
Oh, okay, so items
Okay,
3
you start with
through,
yes.
through
Here we go.
7 and item 9.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Brings us to item 2. Matt, do you know who wants to speak on this item?
I do. That is Jennifer Birdwell.
Okay.
Oh, they are no longer on the line.
Okay. That was the only one wishing to speak?
That's correct. On item 2.
Okay.
Well, then I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Takes us to item 8.
That was
Which is
Brent
the Deer Valley
Kleineman.
Restaurant.
That was Brent Kleineman.
Absolutely. I have a couple for negotiation as well, because it's that was our initial point in negotiation, but we realized something wrong after that to our attention.
Hello, Mr. Kleineman.
Is that the only speaker?
So I can go over some of that.
That is the only speaker for item 8.
Then I'll move to,
Whenever
It's coming.
Yeah, there
It's so garbled, I can't understand what's being said.
yeah.
Yes, it's the same here in chambers as well.
Do they want to repeat it?
They've dropped off the line now.
Okay.
Then
Now
I'll
is
make
this
a-
only call? Go ahead.
Then I'll make a motion to approve item 8.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I know this is going to make the pilots out there very happy. They've been wanting to know why the restaurant wasn't operating. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 10.
We have Jane Hendricks on the line to speak on item 10. Ms. Hendricks? I'm sorry, she has also dropped off the line.
Okay. Do I have a motion in?
I move to approve item 10.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have items for information only. Does anyone need further information? I want to discuss any of these items. Okay, I'm taking that as a no, not hearing anything. Takes them to item 17. I would guess Karen Peters or Catherine Sorensen's here.
Yes, Madam Chair, item 17 is Phoenix City Code amendments related to chapters 28 sewer and chapter 37 water. And here for the presentation is Water Services Director Catherine Sorensen.
Welcome,
morning.
Catherine.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Chairwoman, members of the subcommittee. Thank you for letting us present on this item. We are here to talk with you about updates to our water and sewer code. It has been many, many years since we actually undertook an update of water and sewer code, so many years that no one on my staff remembers it. And so we wanted to bring forward some important amendments that we think bring us up to date and move us forward into the future. Where do I point? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to advance the slide. It's on here. So first off, we want to propose a series of what I would call just general cleanup items. Like I said, it has been many years since we updated these provisions of city code. And so we want to do some things that just ensure consistency between the two codes, clarify definitions, make sure that we're phrasing things in plain English as opposed to more complicated wording that has been used in the past, so that our code is more understandable and transparent. We also needed to update sewer code to conform with some new regulations that came out of the federal government regarding the Clean Water Act. It really helps streamline and conform with the federal rule regarding general pretreatment regulations. And some examples of that are like the ability to use general permits to regulate significant industrial users that have substantially similar activities. So, for example, hospitals. And this is all, again, just to be in conformance with federal regulations. Probably more interestingly, we also are putting forward some code amendments that are necessary for us to move forward with our water equity initiative. So if you'll recall, about a year ago, we tasked our Citizens Water Advisory Committee with looking at water equity, taking a look at where we stand today in terms of ensuring broad access to safe, clean water and wastewater services across our community, and then what more we could do to better advance this important initiative. So the Citizens Advisory Committee studied this for almost a year and came back with several recommendations, a few of which actually require code amendments. The first and probably most important, currently city code requires the Water Services Director to disconnect water service to enforce the city services bill. So when customers cannot or refuse to pay their city services bill, city code currently requires me to disconnect their service. As you know, because of COVID-19 pandemic conditions, I've used my emergency powers and we are not enforcing revenue at this time. But at some point, when the pandemic subsides, we will need to continue with revenue enforcement. The first recommendation basically gives the Water Services Director the discretion to limit flows to a household rather than disconnecting them. And this recommendation allows for basic water use in the residence and benefits customers compared to the status quo today. Second, the Citizens Advisory Committee recommended that we cease the accrual of late fees for single-family residential customers once their water services bill has been either disconnected or restricted. And this also benefits customers compared to the status quo because today late fees continue to accrue on the entire city services bill even after we have disconnected customers for non-payment. So both of these recommendations help the customer, put them in a better situation, and we hope move the issue of water equity forward here in the city of Phoenix. So our recommendation is that the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Innovation Subcommittee recommends City Council approval of the proposed updates to Phoenix City Code, Chapters 28, Sewer, and 37, Water. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, I would thank you, Catherine. I'm glad to see you moving forward with this, so it will not become a problem in the future, because I believe that's what we're participating in using right now, is the proposed language. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve item 17.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 And I agree. Anyone opposed? Hearing none? The item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Takes us to item 18.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item 18 is a request for a contract award for transit furniture manufacturing and installation. And Public Transit Director Jesus Sapien is here for the presentation.
Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Thank you for having us here today. We are here to talk about exciting opportunity in the transit environment in terms of putting out new bus shelters. And what you'll see in my presentation is a description of the collaboration we undertook with Arizona State University and some renderings of what the bus stops will look like. So just some background in terms of what we do today. What you see on the screen right now are the 4 designs that we have in our current shelter inventory. So these are the ones that you currently see out there throughout the transit environment, some of which have a advertising aspect to it. And just a reminder that we do make revenue off of that advertising aspect on the ones where we are able to put them out. And so I'll walk you through the 3 different models that we have proposed that we worked with the ASU School of Design on for this particular contract award over the next 2 years. So the first one you see here is what we're calling the standard shelter. The majority of what we would do under this proposed contract for 2 years is this shelter right here. This is the model that fits into the footprint that we currently utilize and provides a significant amount of shade. As you can see, it's got a curved end with an optional seat. And the T-center section provides shade to either side under the canopy, a big advance over what we have today. This next item is what we're calling the kit of parts shelter, and this one's unique in that we can make different variations of it. It is flexible in terms of what we can put out. And as some of you may know, we work with your offices sometimes where we get a request for a bus stop and shade, but we are kind of constrained by, we may be against a wall, against a tree, a building, a home, or we may simply be constrained by the available right-of-way. So this one fits in a smaller footprint. It is more flexible, and again, it allows installation in areas where we have limited right-of-way. The other cool thing about this model is that we can add it to the other models that you see if we have available space to add additional shade in areas where we are seeing higher ridership. And the last model that we have available under this proposed contract is what we're calling the larger version. And as you can see, this would be a model that is for placement in an area where we have more available right-of-way. It does utilize the components from the kit of parts to construct a larger version. It incorporates more of a semicircular design, which adds to the available shade, especially on west-facing stops. And it can be installed in areas that call for a unique shelter design or placement. And again, we've worked with all council offices over the years on request for different sizes and shapes of bus stops. And this one gives us the largest footprint, but more shade as well. So in terms of the solicitation that we conducted, we are looking for a 2-year contract, and the primary purpose for that is to give us time to test this new shelter and design against use and wear in the field. That can be everything from passenger use, weather, sun, paint adhesion, things like that. And the other reason we're doing a 2-year contract is that we wanted to expire in conjunction with our existing contract, which utilizes the current design that I showed at the beginning of the presentation. So we do have an existing contract putting out the current design, but that goes for another 2 years. So what we would do at that time is in fiscal year 22, we would issue a solicitation for all of our bus shelters for the installation and repair and manufacture. And under that contract, we expect that if we have positive results of this new ASU-inspired design, we could utilize the current design, the new design, or a mixture of both, and we at the city would work to identify which one fits best in each unique situation and place. So we issued an invitation for bid in February for a 2-year contract. In March, we received 2 bids from 2 manufacturers, Southwest Fabrication and Talus. We evaluated both, which were responsive, and based on pricing, we are recommending the award to Talus Construction for just under $2.3 million over the 2 years. And last week, we presented this item to our Citizens Transportation Commission, which approved the item 11-0. And at this time, we are requesting the Transportation Innovation and Infrastructure Subcommittee recommend approval to City Council to enter into an agreement with Talus Construction to construct and install these new bus shelters. With that, I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Councilwoman,
thank you. Jesus, remind me, you said that this will also replace existing bus shelters, correct?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Stark, so it will be a mixture. As you know,
Okay.
we have over 4,000 bus stops throughout the transit
Right.
environment, about 2/3 of which have shade. So what we would do is evaluate every shelter that comes up either for replacement or placement of a new shelter. One of the
Okay.
things that we pointed out in the report you may have noticed is that this new version is especially useful in west-facing shelters. So
Yes.
anytime, where you have the bus either the sun directly overhead, or as it starts to descend on the western horizon, this would be more useful in those situations. But we would utilize it in replacement of existing and placement of new shelters in conjunction with our existing design. It would be a mixture.
Okay, I just wanted to get that on the record, so thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
We have other questions? I have one, there'd be a piece for advertising on these shoulders. Is that by design?
I didn't hear what she said.
Advertising, did you say advertising?
Yes.
Okay,
So, Madam Chair, is the question, does this new model incorporate advertising? Is that the question? Yes. Okay, so the ASU-inspired model does not have placement for advertising yet. What we would do is test it out in the field in terms of the use and how well it'll hold up. And then in the future, we can incorporate the advertising aspect if the design is found to be able to handle the different type of kiosks that we place either on or adjacent to bus stops for advertising.
Do you know how much revenue you'll lose in that 2-year period?
Well, Madam Chair, our idea is not to impact the amount of revenue shelters we have out there now. What we have is part of the whole universe of bus shelters out there. Not all of them have an advertising component to them. So what we would do with this contract is do our best to replace or install the ones that don't have an advertising aspect to them, so that we wouldn't impact the advertising contract that we currently have. But that would be an option in the future to add an advertising component to this new design.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions?
Madam Chair, I have questions. Councilwoman Pastor.
Yes, go ahead.
Jesus, I have lots of questions. If you go back to the T25 shelter, the first one, if you look at that, that picture, it's providing shade behind the shelter. And I know that it'll move, how the sun moves, the shade moves, but I would like to see pictures of this shelter at different times of the day to see, to have an understanding of if there's shade provided all the different times of the day. Probably morning, mid-noon, noon, or mid-afternoon is really where it hits, and then probably about 5 o'clock to see if we really, if this shelter really provides the shade that's needed in for the buses. That's one. The second is, have we examined both our what we have currently, in the sense of what that current model provides shade, and how this new model then, I'm assuming, would provide more shade, because this is a new model. I'm curious about that, because if we have an old model, if this model doesn't work, then I would say then stick with the old model and just make new prototypes. But that's another question. And then, do we have a timeline when this is rolling out, and where and how many are we testing? Because it's a 2-year pilot and we're spending this, I think, $2 million. What happens if it doesn't work? Do we go back out and remove what we placed with something new, and then we get additional $2 million to do that? Or how does this work?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, thank you for those questions. I will kind of try to address them one at a time. So in terms of the times of day when the bus shelter provides shade, that is one of the things that the ASU School of Design undertook. And as you'll notice, the middle screen on this particular shade is in the middle of the shelter rather than pushed all the way back as opposed to the current model. And that is so that it does provide shade in the middle of the shelter instead of having to stand behind the shelter in its entirety. For example, if this was west facing. So in this particular case, you can see the sun does appear to be, at an angle which it is projecting the shade behind it, but there's also shade available behind that screened area instead of having to stand behind the entire shelter like our current model. But what we can do, Councilwoman Pastor, is share with you some of the renderings that the School of Design undertook so that you can see that they did do, if memory serves correct, they did undertake some time of day studies to show how much shade you would get out of this model. We would use that information to decide where to put these. For example, what would work better in a spot? Would it be this new model that may provide more shade or our existing model that's working just fine? Again, it's kind of a mixture of the design and amount of shade that it would provide, as well as the amount of space we have to work in. If we have a wide open space that's right-of-way and sidewalk, or are we constrained in any way? The other thing that we wanted to do with, and I'll advance to this next picture, is the smaller footprint model that we don't have today. So that will serve a particular purpose where we have a constrained right-of-way or sidewalk area. This is something entirely new to us. This provides basically a model of shade that we don't have today, but takes up a smaller footprint. In terms of timeline, Councilwoman Pastor, once we enter into this contract with TELUS, we will go ahead and issue a purchase order and start working with them jointly to determine where these would best fit a purpose. The other thing I would note is TELUS is the current contractor for our current model, so we will work closely with them to determine which model, either the existing or the new one, works best in a particular area. In terms of the quantity, we anticipate doing approximately 200 bus stops under this particular contract. The majority of them, which would be this particular standard shelter, with a handful of the smaller footprint and the larger footprint as well. But the majority of them, over half, would be the standard T2050 shelter because that provides the most standing area, again, as compared to the footprint that we currently work in. Your last question, Councilwoman Pastor, about what happens when we put them out there and they don't work. One of the things that we did do is work with a School of Design, and then once we have the contractor on board, we will work with them as well to make sure that the materials and paint are materials that are made for this type of use, that they can endure not only people leaning against them and putting their backpacks against them and things like that, sitting on them, but also holding up to weather. So it's not so much that the materials are a test, it's the design itself that we would work closely to monitor.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I wasn't speaking about the materials, I was speaking about the design. If the design really doesn't work the way the prototypes or how they simulate it and it's not working, that's my issue. Because my thing about the shelters is that people are sitting out in the heat and there's no shade anywhere, especially in mid-afternoon. But my other question is, I noticed these prototypes don't have seating. And so when I'm watching, there's also a mixed generational of people that use the bus. And so you have a more mature constituency that need seating. Or or mothers with children. So are we incorporating seating anywhere in here?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, absolutely. We would put seating where appropriate. Where we see high ridership and we can incorporate seating, yes, we would do that.
Okay, so would it look like, I know we're a high ridership, Central and Thomas. Central and Thomas is a high ridership. At 3 o'clock, 3:30, students are let out from North and Central, and the hub is Central and Thomas. If I go back to the prototype that has the little circles, that's only 2 people sitting, along with people leaving work or, you know, going to their doctor's appointment on there. So I'm just saying, how does that get managed? Because right now on Central and Thomas is an empty lot that people can go different places to get shade and to sit until the bus arrives. That area is going to be built up. So there's not going to have that opportunity.
Yes, and Councilwoman Pastor, great point. The other option we have is that we can also install a bench. So that's something that we have under our available toolbox, is not only seating that's incorporated as part of the design, but some type of bench that we can also install as part of the overall shelter installation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to the actual manufactured shelter. It could be something we put in addition to the shelter.
And that's incorporated in our cost already?
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, yes, that's one component that we estimate in terms of our overall capital improvement project for budget for putting any shelters out there.
So thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Madam Chair. Those are my questions.
Do we have other questions?
One more.
Councilwoman.
Jesus, Madam Chair,
Okay,
can you clarify what you said about the cost? It's incorporated in the plan, but is it incorporated with this? In this estimate, the 2 million?
Councilwoman Pastor, yes. What we look at is we recognize that some bus stops will need seating and some won't. So what we do is, and actually we worked with some council offices over the past couple of years to put in individual seats instead of benches. So we have a whole mixture of different seating options that are incorporated as part of our overall bus stop budget, because we know some of them will be a smaller model, some of them will be a larger model, and then some of them may or may not have seating. So the availability of seating is absolutely a component that we take into consideration, and it's kind of like on our list of amenities that we can add to any bus stop if we see the need.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Stark, did you have a comment?
I do, Councilwoman Williams.
Go ahead, please.
So I just had a question. I mean, I think these look, I think these look good. I think I would suggest more individual seating more than just like a long bench. And then my other question to this is, or my recommendation would be for us to be able to have signage on the buses, just to make sure that the folks that are going to be at the bus stop or people that are going to be riding the bus, I think that we should have, that we should probably have signage both in English and Spanish, and just making sure that people that will be around the bus stop and that will be sitting on these benches are people that are going to be getting on the bus. And I also think that I would recommend having more individual seats more than just a long bench.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, for that suggestion. Yes, as you may recall, we've worked with a couple council offices in specific areas where that request has come in, and we've been able to accommodate that putting in individual seats instead of a longer bench type. That is something
And then,
we've moved to.
Oops, go ahead.
And then also just the signage, I think it's just important to also have the signage.
Yes, everything we do, Madam Vice Chair, is in English and Spanish.
Okay,
I just want to make the comment, I appreciate the fact that these, you can see through them. I know so many people have gone to the back and you can't see them while they're waiting for a bus. And periodically they miss their bus because they don't see the bus. But this gives the opportunity to give them access to the shade that's on the backside, especially those that face the west. So I know you've worked on this for 2 or 3 years. Excited to see it come forth and to see the new bus stops. Will any of them be a different color?
Madam Chair, we will research that. Usually it keeps costs down if we minimize the number of colors, but that's something that we can look into.
so Councilwoman,
Yes.
so can you just clarify, I just don't, I just want to make sure that we put it on the record that we are going to have signage, English and Spanish, making sure that the folks that are around the bus stop are people that will be riding on the bus, that we don't want other folks sitting on the benches, because we want to make sure that the people that are on the benches are folks that will be getting on the bus.
I don't know how difficult that is. I know we have some problems with sleeping on the long benches. People trying to make it into a mini hotel over the night. Is that what you're getting at? You want it to say for bus riders only?
Right.
Okay. I'm sure we can do that with no problem.
Madam Vice Chair, yes, just to clarify, when you were saying earlier about the English and Spanish signage, my response was based on, yes, everything we're putting out there today, we do in English and Spanish, and that might be having to do with things like service changes or the current pandemic, social distancing, masks required, things like that. All of that signage, whether it be at a bus stop or a vehicle, has been in English and Spanish. To date, we have not put signage up that says something to the effect of only if you are going to be riding can you use this furniture. We do have that on light rail platforms, but we have not done that yet for a transit furniture. But that is something we can look into because it is currently part of city code in a couple different areas. But currently we don't have that signage posted at every stop. But let us do a little research on that, and we'll see what progress we can make in that area.
That would be great, just because I have heard issues in different parts of my district, and, people are tired, they're catching one bus to the next, as you know, the west side of Phoenix, many people do not have access to the light rail, so they're catching 1 or 2 buses, so I just think, I think that would be great if we could do that. Thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Are there any other questions or comments? Someone want to make a motion to move this forward? Staff's recommendation?
I
Motion,
motion to move this item forward with staff recommendation.
second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? It passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item we have is the one that has been withdrawn for the street mall pilot program. It will not be heard today. That takes us to public comment. Matt, do we have public comment?
Chairwoman, yes, we have 2 members of the public wishing to speak. First, we have Jeff Spellman. Mr. Spellman,
Jeff?
are you on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line, but I didn't have a public comment because it was related to the previous item that was withdrawn.
And our second speaker is Barbara Jennings. Barbara, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so are you not discussing item number 19? Is that what I'm understanding or no?
That is correct.
Okay, so when will that be back up for discussion?
Right now, it's not scheduled on any agenda for further hearing.
Okay, so that means it's taken off the table for now?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, well then that's what I wanted to comment as well. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do so.
Truly,
Madam Chair,
yes.
it's me, Councilwoman Pastor. Item 19 has been withdrawn. My understanding is next week, we will go into E-session to discuss some legality on regarding street murals, and we will go as a full council. So could I have staff verify if that's what's happening?
Mario?
Yes, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Pastor, it is currently scheduled to be on the executive session agenda for the council next week.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Williams, I couldn't hear you. I think you are still muted.
Councilwoman Pastor, did you have something?
You were on mute, so we couldn't hear you. I was trying to get your attention. Oh, you're on mute.
I keep taking it off.
There
Can
you
hear
go.
me now? Okay. So you can't argue with me if you can't hear me. Do you have any item for a future agenda? No? Okay. Well, hearing none.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, it's Vice Mayor.
Oh, okay.
I would just like
Vice
to
Mayor?
hear, I'm sorry, I would just like to get like an update on where we're at with the shields on the buses in the next agenda.
Oh,
You know, just to see where we're at with that. I know that we were supposed to start, that we were going up for a contract bid on that. And so I just wanted to get a report on where that was at.
very good. Anyone else? I'm sure we'll have it at our next meeting. Hearing no other items, we are adjourned. Thank you all.